From the most recent fights in the NBA to the most notorious ones in the history of the league, here are the NBA players who fought with their own teammates.
That's just something you don't see every day. I know the tensions, you've played in this game, you've been in a lot of heated battles, but
in a crucial playoff seed-defining game, Minnesota Timberwolves player Rudy Gobert threw a punch at teammate Kyle Anderson on the Timberwolves bench during a timeout recently. The Timberwolves were able to not let that fight discourage them too much, as they were able to still win the game. As a result, though, Rudy Gobert was suspended from one game by his own team, showing the impact of this situation and how even his team felt it was unacceptable behavior. The punch did leave fans upset, with many criticizing the trade the Timberwolves did to get Gobert on their team this season. The punch arguably illustrating how ineffective the trade was. Others criticized Gobert for doing this in a game where they really needed him, as this game was deciding what playoff seed the team was gonna have. The fact that this punch also happened on the last game of the regular season, you could say was the worst timing the team could have possibly asked for something like this to occur.
Yeah, we definitely hashed it out. I mean, that happens all the time in sports. I mean, I feel like people are acting like they've never seen it before. We grown men, we're able to put it behind us. And
to some, whether fans of athletes themselves, these types of physical altercations seem like a typical situation in professional sports, while some others are appalled by it. While fights with teammates, especially in practices, aren't completely unheard of, they have become increasingly rare in the present day. Practices nowadays are less intense, and coaches generally do a much better job at preserving their players' physical and mental health. Still, especially with the highly competitive nature of this sport only increasing more and more as the season goes on, some players do choose to go off on each other. Most fights between teammates don't happen during an actual game, though. The fights usually escalate during practice, such as most recently with Draymond Green.
Golden State Warriors All-Star Draymond Green threw a punch at his teammate Jordan Poole at practice on Wednesday, as first reported by The Athletic, confirmed by ESPN. The two players had been verbally sparring.
Draymond Green has gone down as one of the most celebrated defenders of this century in basketball, as well as one of the most aggressive and trash-talking players of the modern era. He's helped bring the Golden State Warriors championships in 2015, 2017, 2018, and 2022. He's also been ejected from multiple games due to the aggressive force he brings to his play style. His most carried away moment, though, that got way too out of hand was right before the start of the 2022-2023 regular season. During a practice, Draymond and teammate Jordan Poole began arguing, and Draymond suddenly punched Jordan. What made the fight so publicly reported and discussed was that it was in fact caught on camera and leaked to TMZ. With visual proof of Draymond punching Jordan Poole, it turned into popular headlines and debate in sports media on teammates fighting in sports.
I was wrong for my actions that took place on Wednesday, and for that, I have apologized to my team. I have apologized to Jordan.
Green isn't the only legendary player who has had tensions rise uncontrollably with his teammates, though. Kobe Bryant and Shaquille O'Neal are regarded by many as two of the greatest basketball players ever, as well as two of the most popular. Them being the dominant duo that they were when playing with each other, they led the Los Angeles Lakers to 3 championships together in 2001, 2002, and 2003, with them also being known as two of the most competitive players in the sport during their time playing. The two of them didn't always take it easy with each other and get along. During a practice, Kobe and Shaq got into a fight that led to Shaq throwing a punch at Kobe. Kobe was able to dodge Shaq's punch, but he did try to return a punch at Shaq that missed as well. The fight was broken up right away, with their teammates separating them.
The next thing I knew, I saw a big hand coming this way, and I remember going this way, and I remember throwing some lollipop. Golden Polynese came and caught, and then they all just kind of broke us apart, broke us up.
They're not the only mega superstar basketball players whose competition got the best of them detrimentally. Who many people considered as the greatest of all time in the game of basketball, Michael Jordan gave us some of the greatest athletic showcases throughout his remarkable legendary career. He cemented himself forever as one of the faces of the NBA, an icon of 90s America, a player hundreds of players in the NBA today still are inspired by. With this era-defining competitiveness and basketball skill set, he was also notoriously intense in games, as well as practices, which led to the occasional altercation with his teammates.
When you out to hear me no more, ever again. I'm going to drop one of you, John. Shit. If I ever see you again, I'm going to whip your ass.
One of the most notable fights Jordan ever went through with his teammates during his career was with his teammate Will Perdue. When Perdue was playing against Jordan in practice one day, Perdue set an illegal screen that knocked Jordan down to the ground. Jordan got up and punched Perdue right away before they were broken up. Jordan did later apologize to Perdue, both remaining on good terms for the rest of their time playing together. Another fight that Michael Jordan was also involved in during a practice was with his teammate Steve Kerr. Jordan was tested testing Kerr's patience, getting to the point where Kerr lost his cool and pushed Jordan in the chest. Jordan then punched Kerr right in the eye before Chicago Bulls head coach Phil Jackson threw Michael Jordan out of the practice. Kerr and Jordan eventually made up as well.
Back to the Virgil Center, I said, please give me Steve Kerr's number. I called Steve and I apologized. I said, look, man, it had nothing to do with you. I feel bad.
In more recent fights between players, there has also been a scuffle between Evan Turner and Lance Stephenson on the Indiana Pacers during the 2014 playoffs. It was the first round series against Atlanta when Evan Turner and Lance Stephenson were broken up after a fist fight, apparently it resulting from frustration with Stephenson's temper. In this next one, with teammates often having to travel on the road, a pastime some teammates like to do with each other is gamble. This was the case for New York Knicks player Nate Robinson and Malik Rose during the 2005 season. They got into an argument in the locker room over Rose losing a bet to Robinson. The commotion they were making being so loud, you can hear them from the press room. They were able to make up in the end. Though this next scuffle between players had way more of a complicated situation. Zach Randall and Ruben Patterson were on the Portland Trailblazers during the early 2000s. Throughout their time playing together, they had intense competitiveness towards each other. Their tension reached its peak during a scrimmage at the Portland training camp when Randolph sucker punched Patterson, the punch breaking Patterson's orbital bone. Randolph was only suspended for 2 games, but was fined $100,000. A much tamer altercation between players was recently between Los Angeles Lakers Anthony Davis and Dwight Howard, this one being at the beginning of the 2021-2022 regular season. Both of them were able to stay collected quickly and move on without any grudges. Some teammate fights don't always end in a quick resolution though, such as with Bobby Portis' fight. Bobby Portis has built up a respected career in the NBA over the past few years, being a core part of the Milwaukee Bucks team that won the NBA Finals just a few years ago. Before he was with the Milwaukee Bucks though, he was playing with the Chicago Bulls where he and a teammate had an infamous fight with each other during a practice. Tensions grew between Bobby Portis and Nikola Mirotic in the middle of a Chicago Bulls practice, which led to Mirotic going at Portis, leading Portis to punch Mirotic. The punch gave Mirotic a concussion and broken bones in his face, resulting in Portis being suspended for 8 games, solidifying his notorious reputation for his toughness and temper. This next one though you won't believe. It's one of the most bizarre altercations between teammates in NBA history that doesn't even compare to all the ones already talked about. Javaris Crittenton and Gilbert Arenas were both on the Washington Wizards when an argument on December 31, 2009 occurred. The argument between the two of them brought Crittenton to threaten that he would in fact shoot Arenas. This led Arenas to bring unloaded guns to their locker room, imploring Crittenton to pick one. Crittenton then took out his own gun on Arenas. The situation thankfully didn't escalate any further, as they were broken up. Both of them though were suspended from playing for the remainder of the season, resulting in the most excessive display of 2 teammates in the NBA who have fought each other.